Hello everyone, welcome to Winged Horse Designs. This week we're going to do this cute little card that is a Dutch door card. So it just opens up like a set of Dutch doors. I'm still working on it, I haven't finished it. We're going to finish it during this presentation, and I just need to put a birthday greeting on the inside. So it closes a little different. There's two labels attached, and then so the one door just slides between those two labels, and that's what holds it closed. So let's switch the camera and we'll get started on making this cute Dutch door project. So the stamp sets we're going to use with this card, I got a little carried away. We're going to use the barn door from Barn Door. We're going to use this cherry blossom branch from Forever Blossoms. We're going to use Happy Birthday from Layered with Kindness. And we're going to use Let's Celebrate You from Itty Bitty Birthdays. So I pulled one stamp set from 4 different sets in order to get the look that I was after. We're going to use Memento ink for our cherry blossom branch and soft suede for the rest of the card. You'll need a piece of crumb cake or any other color that you like to use for your Dutch doors. This measures 5.5 by 8.5. We'll talk about scoring in a moment. I brought in a piece of scrap crumb cake to do my label that says Happy Birthday, my latch on the door, and a piece of Whisper White that measures 4 inches by 5.25 inches. These measurements will also be over on my blog with some more detailed pictures of the card, and they're also listed in the description of this video. We're going to, for coloring, we're going to use watercolor pencils from both Assortment 1 and Assortment 2. And so let's go ahead and get started with the scoring and talking about how we cut this to get our Dutch door effect. So I'm going to move the ink pads out of the way, and I'm going to bring in my trimmer and scoring tool. I'm going to make sure that my cutting blade, the dark one, is down out of the way so that I don't accidentally cut. And we're going to score this at 2 1/8 inches. And to make it easy, we're just going to rotate it 180 degrees and score again at 2 1/8 inches. And then we're going to set this aside and we'll bring it back in a moment. So we're going to score and burnish both of those edges. And so what we have right now is a traditional gatefold card. But before we cut it to create our Dutch doors, we're going to go ahead and stamp our barn doors so that we know exactly where we need to cut it. So I'm going to bring in some scrap paper here and some washi tape just to kind of hold things in place. So I'm going to put a little washi tape up here at the top just to hold my card closed while we're stamping. And then we're going to bring in the barn door and ink it up with soft suede. And we're going to line this up best we can with this corner and this corner. Not bad. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to rotate our stamp and turn it the other way. And then we're going to do our best to line this up coming all the way across. If you have a Stamp-A-Majig, you could use a Stamp-A-Majig, or if you have the new Stamparatus, you could use that. That's not too bad. almost a perfect match. So while we have the ink out, let's just go ahead and do the rest of our stamping. So we're going to take the happy birthday and stamp it. And then let's stamp our inside, and then we can put all the ink away. So I'm going to leave the soft suede open because we're going to come back to it. We're going to stamp our cherry blossom branch. One coming down from this side. And then we're going to stamp again coming in from the other side. And now we can go ahead and stamp our Let's Celebrate You, where it will end up just underneath those Dutch doors. And now we can close up all the inks and get those out of our way. So we'll color our flowers in just a moment, but let's go ahead and punch this. So this stamp is designed to perfectly match the label Me Lovely, but instead of using the label Me Lovely, I'm going to use the label Me Fancy, which is a smaller punch, and I'm going to bring the happy birthday in, and I'm just going to line this up. And you can see that instead I got a smaller piece, and I got just the little bit of scroll there, and then all of this other scroll will end up not being used. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to punch a second one for the back. Because we're going to glue half of these together, and our barn door is going to slide between the two labels, and that's going to act as our latch to hold our Dutch doors closed. So let's bring the trimmer back in, because we need to cut these two squares off. So you could cut it out with scissors if you have a good steady hand, or you can bring in the trimmer and do it with the trimmer. So I'm going to line this up right on the score line. And then I'm going to take my blade and line it up with the top of the barn door stamp that I'm going to cut up. I'm going to come back and I'm going to line up I'm going to put the top of the barn door stamp, our Dutch door, right in channel for our trimmer. And I'm going to trim right down to the score line. So we'll take that piece, we can save it and use it for something else. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. These two pieces off. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my scissors in, because I obviously need a new blade in my trimmer, and I'm just going to trim off all these loose fuzzy pieces. And now we have our Dutch door. So we can go ahead and do our door latch, and I'm just going to line this up kind of centered, flip it over so I know that I'm only going to put adhesive on this side. And then I'm going to line this one up and match it on the back, but I only want adhesive on one side again. And that creates, and then if you slide the one door into the other one, that creates our latch to hold our card closed. So let's go ahead and work on the inside of our card. So you could use any pencils you want. Cherry blossoms come in lots of colors. Usually we think of them in pinks and reds and whites, but they also come in yellows and greens. So I chose to use yellow and green. So the colors that I'm actually using today is I'm using Early Espresso for the stems because cherry blossoms have kind of a woody stem. I'm using Daffodil Delight and Calypso Coral for the flowers. I'm using Garden Green and Granny Apple Green for the leaves. And then I'm using Balmy Blue to create the haze around. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see that there's a little bit of shading, kind of shadowing around the edge of the flowers. So let's go ahead and color the flowers.
Someone created.
So I'm going to stop here with the watercolor pencils. You could take a blender pen or an aqua painter depending on what type of cardstock you're using, and you could blend those if you wanted to. I'm just going to leave it as watercolor here because I just use it like pencils because I like working with just plain pencils. Sometimes pencils are all that you need, but if you prefer to color them, of course you could do that. So now we just need to adhere this to the inside. And slip our one door through the latch of the other door. And then here you have a super simple Dutch door open card for a little happy birthday. So I hope you enjoyed this simple Dutch fold door card, and next week I will be back with something new. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Happy trails.